Hello, welcome everybody to Semi Rational, a new podcast that we're trying out. My name is Kathy. This
I'm
is,
Jay.
hey
I'm
Jay, how
Jay.
are you?
I'm good. How's everybody?
I can't believe we're finally here doing this. We've known each other for several years and we're always talking about these projects about sharing our mutual and different perspectives. So it's very cool that we're going to try this out. How do you feel
Yeah,
about it?
definitely. Because yeah. I mean, we always communicating, conversating. It's like we got so much to say. Like this got to be for everybody. Everybody should hear this. That's how good it is.
That's what I feel. So we both come from the Bronx, Castle Hill. Yay.
Castle Hill.
Um, we grew up about 12 blocks away from each other.
Yeah.
Um,
Only one of us is from the real Castle Hill, though. One of us is from
and
the
then there's
fake
Jay.
Castle Hill.
Well, okay, you want to say only one of us is from the real Castle Hill. I wanted to show you this. So if you look up Castle Hill on Wikipedia, do you know what you see?
Probably Bruckner Boulevard.
Um, mm, Close. You actually see Quimby Avenue.
No way. Yeah, that's you.
Yeah.
You put that in. That's
I
not
did
me.
not. I was so excited when I saw this.
No.
This is actually the block that I grew up on. My children grew up in this house over here, and I grew up in the house across the street from it. But just those bragging rights I wanted to
Yeah, no.
share.
I grew up in the bottom of Castle Hill at the bottom projects.
If you ever fly out of LaGuardia or
LaGuardia, yeah, LaGuardia.
JFK,
No,
you can see
LaGuardia.
only LaGuardia.
Because as the plane turns, man, you look right at the projects right there. It's like, oh, that's the bodega. That's the people still standing in the front talking.
And for anybody who grew up Castle Hill, they know it's a very important distinction, no judgment, to say across the street from the projects versus in the projects. At
Absolutely.
least for the parents.
Well, you know what? Maybe not so much anymore
Right.
because like that area has changed so much. It's weird. It's almost unrecognizable.
It is unrecognizable. I think I sent you a few weeks ago a picture of Castle Hill going down, and it's just like embroidered in neon. It's just really weird. But,
Yeah.
not
So
the illustrious like Broadway neon.
yeah, the pizza shop neon, the pizza shop neon side. Um,
Exactly.
the I was watching a video on YouTube. Somebody was riding a bike, and they were saying this is Castle Hill, and they wrote
That
from
was a great video.
Tree. That was not a great video, but anyway,
I loved it. It was so nostalgic.
From Tremont all the way down to to the end, to the
To the end,
YMCA
to the
at the
water.
bottom. Yeah,
Yeah.
where the 20 is it still the 22? Where the 22 stops over there.
Yeah,
But
it's the 22. It's past the 22, right? Because the
yeah, yeah.
22 starts on Lacombe, but it was all the way to what used to
No,
be
no.
called the
Yeah,
Castle Hill Beach
at the
Club.
bottom. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
And it goes all the way to what, again, Castle Hill people would know. Castle Hill people from back in the day. There's a huge Facebook page for the Castle Hill Beach Club, and they
that's
post like,
crazy.
yeah, these crazy pictures.
What do they post? What do they post?
You
Because
know
I would
what?
tell you, I'm
Well,
listening.
and so people go there and they post, and again, if anybody knows the transition of Castle Hill, I think it probably was predominantly like Italian and Irish, like probably
Hmm.
a little
Even in
before
the
our
projects.
time.
Even in the
Yeah.
projects. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you have that generation on there, like those baby boomers. And they have all these great memories and all these great pictures. I don't have any pictures. We were members. And I remember
Fancy.
and I remember enjoying, very vaguely remember because it couldn't be past like when I was 5 or 6 years old. And then I had a friend from Holy Family who posted something in there that it blew my mind and I couldn't believe it. She said her memory was that her mom took her three little girls to go. She had the money to pay for membership and they wouldn't let her join.
It was racist. Extremely racist. So that's why when you say you
I
went, I don't know how you
Yeah, I
guys
know, I
got in
know.
there.
Well, you know my parents,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. They could
yeah,
pass.
they
They
could
could pass.
pass.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was, yeah, that, and I often encounter that now, like through the lens of other people, like these experiences that I don't know if I was so insulated from or
That's what
sheltered
it was.
from.
That's
Yeah,
what it was. You
yeah.
know, your parents did a great job of creating a bubble for you that really didn't reflect the reality of the surroundings.
Where we lived.
Because even the way you speak, you know what I mean? Like the only person in Castle Hill that speak like you is you. Nobody else
That's
speak like
not
that. Nobody.
true.
Not even the Chinese people.
The
Nobody.
illustrious Jennifer Lopez comes from
She
Castle
don't
Hill.
speak. Yes, yes, she does, but she don't speak like you.
I don't know.
Yes, she
Oh,
does.
let's see who comes from Castle Hill. Yeah, Jennifer Lopez. We have um, the designer. Um,
I gotta be honest, man.
oh
You
gosh,
lost me there. I
Kayla,
know a couple of
Ralph
sports people,
Lauren.
but
Ralph Lauren. Oh, not from
does he?
Castle Hill. He's from the
Yeah,
Bronx.
he's not.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's
Okay.
not from
We have a
Castle Hill.
lot of people from the Bronx, I
Yeah,
should
no,
say.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. No, we
Yeah.
got like
But
one
nobody from
person.
Castle Hill, according to
Yeah,
you, talks like
yeah,
me. Got
no,
it.
no. Um, Especially not the real Castle Hill. Maybe we go up more towards East Tremont. But
The real
definitely
Castle Hill.
growing up in and when we grew up, you know, 70s, 80s, that was different. It was different, and there's nothing compared to now. Like the beach club was there, but then it shut down when we were still very young. It
Very
shut down,
little.
and then it was just like a playground. We would go in there and go crazy playing. The place was huge. Then they leveled it, and it was just lots. There were lots everywhere across the street from the project on Olmsted, there were just empty lots with abandoned cars, and we would go into the woods everywhere, play like war. We'd grab little sticks and pretend they were guns and hunt each other down and
That's
everything. And
fun.
yeah, it was cool, you know, except for the ticks and all the
And
stuff that you know, the
and you
fleas
think
and
about when you think about like those lots and those play areas, when you see when you see them later on or when you see them now, don't they look so much smaller? They
no,
felt like huge jungles to me.
no, but the thing is, they don't exist. Like they're gone.
Right.
Like there's all houses now. Like
Yeah.
and they were smaller because they kept on developing. But back then it was huge. The one on Olmsted went all the way through to almost where Kibbs Bay was. It was huge. You
Wow.
know that's
Wow.
really big.
Kips Bay, another amazing,
Yeah, Kibbs
amazing
Bay is the best. Kibbs
attribute
Bay,
from
the
Castle
best.
Hill.
You know that Kibbs Bay is now on Castle Hill, like where the Castle Hill Club
I
was.
think it's a
That's Kibbs
second
Bay.
one, right? I don't think they closed the original. So yeah, they
I
have
hope they
one
did
there, and
because that
that's
was the
more like
best.
an after. Well, they're both after school centers, but I think that was more like
Yeah.
childcare.
Well,
Because
what Kips Bay did, like it really helped us. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Like Kips Bay saved a lot of people. It really did,
yeah,
because it gave you access to things that in our community we never. We grew up playing ping pong, pool, you know, like swimming. A lot of things that Kips Bay allowed you to do, and then of course the sports, basketball,
didn't you get your
weightlifting.
producer's
Uh,
license from
oh
there?
yeah, they sponsored me to get uh like a videographer, you know, so I edited film, I
And you'll be
produced
editing this.
shows.
That's amazing.
Yeah. They did, yeah, that program was amazing. And you were in the dance program with Jennifer Lopez. Yeah.
And a lot of other amazing dancers.
Why don't you
Um,
show us some moves? Show us the moves.
and our teacher, I think that he was well renowned in the dance industry in general, but oh my gosh, his name
Larry.
Larry Maldonado. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't believe you forgot that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But
yeah.
so I mean it definitely was a crazy perspective. And let me tell you something, growing up in New York is New York has an ego, and everybody from New York, like it gives you this ego, like, oh, I'm from New York, you know, it just makes you feel like you're better than everybody else in a certain way, you know, and that's why people don't like New Yorkers because you go somewhere else and like, oh, well, I'm from New York, you know. I'm not in New York now. I don't live in New York anymore. I haven't lived in New York for over 10 years, but it definitely gives you this sense that you're somebody, you know.
It's funny that you say that because I remember what me and you remember my friend Susie, what we
Hmm.
would observe when we traveled. You know, my parents, they're amazing. They're amazing. I got to travel a lot. And one of the observations she helped me realize is when we traveled and people said, "Oh, where are you from?" And he'd be like, "Oh, New York." And they'd say, "Oh, what part?" And he'd say the Bronx, and they'd like kind of curl up, get
Yeah.
suspicious. And we didn't understand that reaction because
They
we
grab
lived
their
in
bags a
such
little
a
tighter.
great, no, literally, like,
Yeah.
or they were apologetic, for our impoverished existence, and they were amazed at how we were able to get off the block or something. But we again, we had, it was such a convivial residential platform. You know what I mean? Like, it definitely isn't this image that people who have never been there have of these Jackie Chan movies of the Bronx. Yeah, we just
I
had a
don't know
beautiful
what they.
neighborhood.
I
Yeah.
don't know where they got that from. But
It's a
wait.
really
But
tree-lined
let's not
neighborhood.
pretend. Let's not pretend that the Bronx was not like
But I'm saying our neighborhood.
your neighborhood, but
mm,
the Bronx was not nice. Try to rewrite history there. Like
I
if you
don't
was
know.
if you was by Prospect Park, if you was Freeman and Jennings used to go over there or anywhere, Third Ave. Man, that was horrible. Like burnt down
It's so funny.
buildings,
It's so weird. Like you
disgusting,
said, it's
dirty trains.
perspective because thankfully I've never had any incident. I've never had any incident. I've never been robbed. I've never been mugged. None of this has ever happened. Thank God.
I could check all
The biggest
all of these off.
tragedy of my life, the biggest street violence tragedy happened after we left the Bronx,
But
ironically.
no, I mean there was no. All right, There's,
For me,
you are rewriting a lot of history because I had so many friends murdered before I
yeah,
was
yeah, that's what I'm
15 years
saying. That's
old.
what I'm saying. Like, my experience, it's like, I don't know. I've never
Yeah,
had
no,
that. But, that
I
also happens with like circles, you know what I mean?
mhm,
And,
yeah,
directions that we take and company that we keep. And I
yeah,
didn't
but
have that
before
experience.
15, I remember because I was 15 and could count 15 dead friends at
I
15.
remember you telling me that at 15.
Yeah,
And I was horrified by that.
yeah, and it was and even more than that, like just the conditions, it wasn't good. And then we uh took public transportation, and that wasn't good. And let's not pretend I don't know what New York is like now, but I understand it's like you can just hop on public transportation, go wherever you want. Everything's beautiful. Everybody gets along. I don't know if that's true. That's what it seems like.
There's a
When we grew
ferry
up,
from
it
Class and
was not
Point.
like that.
There's a ferry from Class and Point to take you into the city. And
Yeah,
it has like kind of like they have
but
the Staten Island now. You can
listen.
take a ferry. You don't have to take the train. They have a little bar on there. It's like a little night. It's like a little Friday night vibe home from the city.
No, when we grew up, it was a. I mean, honestly, I say we grew up with PTSD. You know, a lot of us because it was a war zone everywhere you went. You know, and all that be on point, all stay on point. That's where it came from. You always had to be aware of your surroundings, who was around you, because something was going down at
And
all
meanwhile, when
times.
I would go visit you, I'd walk through the projects at night. You'd be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "What is this a problem?"
Uh,
No
I mean,
awareness.
come on, like we have a great friend who used to walk my sister home from school every day.
Yeah,
She was 10 years old.
yeah,
She was 10
yeah,
years old,
yeah.
kidnapped and murdered.
That's
Jessica
right. You're
Good.
right. That's probably my first
Yeah,
introduction to
yeah. I mean,
violent
no, that
tragedy.
was the
Yeah,
norm, but
yeah.
that was the closest that had gotten to me at that point. But you know, I was I don't know how old I was at that time. I
And
was
your
probably
sister was extremely
14.
traumatized by those events
Yeah, she was seven.
forever. Mm,
She was seven. And then
yeah.
we would just think like, what if that would have happened when she was walking her home or whatever? Like, this is not. I'm not gonna give the Bronx that cozy little thing that you're doing because it was horrible. I mean, we grew up and we had a ball and we made the most of it, but it was bad. It was
It was
really
bad for
bad.
you. And I have to say, I can't say that it was that bad for me.
Yeah,
Weirdly, I wouldn't go back. But,
no.
yeah,
But really, I left as soon as I could. I was out.
yeah.
That it was New York.
But I think that
Whatever.
there's yeah, I think that
Uh,
there's a balance to the view. The other thing I think a lot of people don't know or don't expect is like for us, our families, your mom raised five kids and all of them went to Catholic school.
yeah,
and
Hmm.
never had to go a day to public school. I
Well,
never did public school. I did
yeah,
public
yeah.
school for kindergarten.
Some of us,
I even went to
there
we
was.
even went to Catholic colleges. Or was your college Catholic? Mine was. So
No, I wasn't. But no, Manny was in Steve-O, I
right,
believe. Gakko
right.
was in Steve-O.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
like
after he was not, you know, living with your mom. Yeah, and then
yeah, yeah,
the twins went to Stevenson like as a second attempt. They
yeah. I
didn't
mean, all right, I'll
graduate.
say that she
Yeah.
tried. She tried.
She did. She
She
did. She
tried.
didn't
She did
try.
as much
I
as
said
she
she
could.
did that. Your mom did that. She did. She
She
was
did as
amazing.
much as she could for as long as she could.
Yeah, she was
Um,
amazing.
but the again, this perspective now is looking back on it because when I grew up, I loved it. Like I had a ball. I loved growing up there. I had fun every day. I was always getting into something, always doing something. But looking back, and the only reason I can look at it now with that type of objectivity is because I have kids, and I'm like, but I want my kids to grow up the way I grew up. As a matter of fact, not that. I tried to
Well,
make sure they didn't. It was
yeah.
like, okay,
My kids
we're
grew up on the
moving.
block that I grew up, so and that was a testament to our block. We had generations. We
Yes,
stayed there for
in that area.
generations. Yeah.
That area, and you know where it's still like that? Pelham
Mm-hmm.
Country Club,
Thrive's
like
Neck.
those families, yeah, Throgs Neck, they stay there, like
Mm-hmm.
families, generation.
Another pretty
But
decent
a lot
area.
of yeah, again, now more so than it was because there was still murders there. Like one girl had got killed in the park walking to the train in the morning. Like I mean, it was bad.
It was
And
bad.
then, not to mention 42nd
Those
Street,
things are bad. Yeah.
Times Square. Whew.
I I didn't go down. I didn't go to high school in Manhattan like you did. So. And apparently you
I
were in
worked.
Manhattan before you went to high school.
Yeah, I worked in the garment district when I was like 12 or 13.
Mhm.
I had to go down to the garment district, and
Mhm.
that's where like you laid all the fabric for the people who cut to make clothes and everything. Um, and I was working down there, which I think would be illegal today. Yeah,
I think it
but
was
like
illegal back then. I don't want to shout
child labor,
anybody
yeah,
out.
everybody was like illegal immigrants and whatever.
um,
It is what it
I
is.
worked in the Bruckner Mall, which is still there, I believe.
Yes,
And went
16
through it
plus.
iterations, right? I went through iterations. There was the main department store that I think, for as early as I can remember, started as Corvettes, right? You
It
remember that?
was
And then it was
Corvettes,
TSS,
TSS,
and
and
then
then Kmart.
Caldors. I think it
Oh,
was
was it Caldor back
Caldors,
then?
yeah. And then Kmart, and now
Hmm.
I think Kmart is closed.
Yeah, yeah,
I
but
don't know if
I
there's
don't know
anything
if
there.
anything.
And I just like I passed not so long ago, and remember that store at the end, Paramount? My mom said everybody's mom used to buy like their curtains from there. That's finally closed. That store stayed open because I remember thinking, how does this store stay open? Like who shops here? 'Cause it was like it was one of those stores you're like, does anybody even go in here?
Yeah,
But
but a lot
everybody
of
knew
those
about it.
people were fortunate enough to own the buildings. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Not Corvettes and that, but a
mm.
lot of those other companies were fortunate enough to own like sports. What was it? Remember on up Castle Hill, everybody used to go get their kicks from there. This is before
Oh,
Nikes
you
and
mean the
Adidas
sports
and all.
bar?
No, not Sports Bar. That's the
Oh,
bar on the Cross Bronx. There was
oh.
a I forgot the name. Anyway, whatever.
Oh,
Yeah,
they're sneakers, you're saying.
yeah,
Ah,
sneakers.
I
Yeah,
see. I lost my Castle Hill vernacular. I think my kicks wasn't fun.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's still there, varsity, right?
It wasn't called varsity. It was called sports something.
Okay,
Yeah, the name on it said varsity, but we used to
varsity.
call it something like sports
Yeah,
something.
and it's
Like
there,
Jew Man.
and
Jew
that's
Man wasn't called Jew Man. Everybody
right.
just called it Jew Man.
And
You
you
know?
can look at it up on YouTube, and they call it Jew Man.
Do
They'll
they?
show the
Yeah.
pictures. Yeah,
It
yeah.
wasn't called Jew Man.
That was it too.
Everybody
Like that
called it
was our
Jew Man.
shopping place. If you wanted to get stuff, you had to go to
No, the
Seven
crazy. I'm
Boulevard,
gonna tell
Hunts
you the
Point.
crazy. Oh yeah, horrible. And then it became like Bay Plaza, Third Ave, Fordham.
Oh, remember when Bay Plaza came out? It was like the thing. Wait, okay. So I am still baffled that right before we were born, like maybe 10 years before we were born, Bay Plaza, that whole area was an amusement park.
Yeah,
as
I
big
heard
as
that, but
Disney. I forgot
wait,
Freedom
what about
Land,
Whitestone? What about Whitestone? It was Whitestone was the drive-in.
the
It was a
drive-in. But we
drive-in.
went to the drive-in. What
Yeah,
I'm baffled about is there was this huge. It's just weird to me because every time we would drive over the bridge to go to Queens, and you'd see that globe, that globe that they have in
yeah.
Flushing Meadow Park.
Yeah,
My mom would
uh,
always say, "Oh, that's where the World Fair was. That's where the world," and that was like this cultural marker for them. So I knew that growing up, and I'm like, but nobody wanted to tell me. Every time we're going on Bartow, there was a huge amusement park that was here, that Dizzy Gillespie played at, that all this stuff happened. It was
I never knew that.
yeah, it was the creator, the guy who designed Disney World, designed this. He stole Disney's money and designed this. It was all swampland, and you put all that money into
Yeah,
something that can only operate 3 months a year. So I
yeah,
just
man. But
that
hey,
baffles me.
what about Ride Playland? Ride
Right,
Playland only
Playland is still
operates
there.
3 months a year, and they
Right,
kill it.
they kill
You
it.
know,
Yeah,
um, but back then it was a lot of skate rinks too. There was a lot of skating rinks,
Skate
and everybody would go
Key,
skating. The
Skating
rink,
Palace,
the one right
Stars.
there, Stars. Yeah, yeah, right there.
And why do we call it Stars? Because you had
That's what's
local
the
like
name of it.
freestyle. Well, because the local
No, it
freestyle
said it.
singers would perform there, so it was stars. But names that if we mentioned, nobody would know. I don't think like Coro and well, Judy Tarz is a bigger name, but like Noel, things like
Yeah,
that. So that made them stars. But Skate Key was
Skate
every
Key
time I
was
hear like
the spot.
early '80s, like I don't know if you call it like disco R&B stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
Skate Key
it
was
just
hopping.
takes me right back to that. Yeah.
Skate Key was the fever of skating rinks. It was like Disco Fever on Third Ave,
Okay.
which later became the fever.
The fever.
The Skate Key was the fever of skating rinks. It was
Oh
just
wow,
a
yeah,
party.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was a
That
party.
was
But
amazing.
again, I mean, we was
Boom, boom,
kids,
boom,
man.
boom,
We was
boom.
probably like
Boom,
12,
boom, boom,
13,
boom, boom.
14.
That's
We
all
would
I
go
can
on
think about
Friday
when I hear it.
nights. We would go on Friday nights over to Skate Key, and but it was always like fights and everything. But you didn't see that. That was just like part
Yeah,
of going out. You know what I mean? It
yeah.
was just part of
I
going
think
out. You
I've
would just
only gone literally like 2 times. The first time I went, I was in summer camp at St. Andrews, like down by you. Remember that church right next to the
oh
school
yeah,
you
yeah,
went to, St.
yeah.
John Vianney? They took us there, and I just have this wonderful and distinct memory of we had to take the train, and that was such an adventure as a kid, and we had to walk in single file. I was like 10 years old, and I
I
think we
hated
went
taking the
like
train.
through like Yankee Stadium or some stadium. It was
Man,
weird.
listen,
It was such a
if
great
you
day.
grow up, I don't know how it is anymore. I'm gonna say that because people might hear it and be like, "Oh my God, how are they gonna say that?" Now it's a different demographic in New York. How can he say it's like this? But back then, every time you took the train, like every corner was a different stench and not pleasant.
Stench.
Yeah, they're like you turn the corner here, it smell like piss. Turn the
Oh,
corner there, it smell like
on the
crap.
train. On the
On
train.
the train, off the train,
Got it.
wherever you were,
Yeah.
it was horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was
No, that was
it,
bad.
it wasn't even if you went in people in the elevator, stairways. Come on, man. It was pee everywhere in New York,
Yeah,
everywhere.
it was bad. That was a problem. But there's again very. I remember going to pick my mom up from like Tiffany Street. Is it over there near the Bruckner in Hunts Point? She would play bingo on Friday nights, and we'd go and you'd smell the smell of the Gucci frito and the
Oh yeah,
cart out
yeah.
front. They had the
I was gonna say
the
like
bacalawitos. You know.
in the wintertime, like one of the whatever you say that, not guilty pleasure, but like one of the little things, like you stand over the train grates, because if in the wintertime it's freezing on top, but when you go down into the not the L because it's underneath, but when you go down to the subway, it's 100 degrees. So you bundled up, then you go into the train, you got to take everything off because it's so hot. But on the top, on the street level, there's these grates, vents. If you stand on top of the vent in the wintertime, all that hot air blows
So
up, and you're like,
good. It's
"Oh
so
my
good. It's so
God,
good.
it's so
I
warm right here."
I tell everybody I didn't know I hated winter until I moved north of the city because we didn't experience winter. If it snowed outside, it could snow. We had like really major snowfalls. I think like in '82 we had this
Oh, it was
huge
on.
snowfall in
Yeah, it was
April,
on.
but it could snow. And when I became a new driver, if that's what you want to call it, what I was doing at the time, and I was younger, you always knew it didn't matter. Like there was always going to be asphalt. There was always going to be road to drive on. You know what I mean? So I
I
remember
don't know about
thinking,
that.
all I have to do is get to the main street or the highway and we'll be good. And it's not like that up here. It's like when the snow stops, we'll shovel. We
No,
didn't have
listen.
that
No,
experience
there
in the
was there.
Bronx.
No, the snow back. Not so much now, but when we was growing up, it used to snow for real, and there was no as like we. The whole roads would be covered in snow. That's when you're outside playing. Everybody's in the streets running around. Snowball fights. Everything would stop. The only thing that would run maybe was the city bus, maybe, and sometimes not even that. But they
I don't
because we
remember
used to
being
hold. We
ever
used to
like when we
grab.
had to drive to work. I don't remember ever being
Well,
stuck.
once we got older, because that
Yeah.
was already the global warming has started happening, and it wasn't snowing as much. But when we were little
7 years
kids,
ago.
it snowed crazy,
Yeah.
and we used to grab the back of the buses and ski. Like
Horrible.
because there was so
Horrible.
much snow, we would just
Horrible.
grab the bus because you can't, you don't got money to pay for the bus. What was it back then? Was like I don't remember what it was.
I think it was like 75 cents, and
It was
then
something like that,
when I left the city, it was like $1.25 and $1.50. Like if you were getting
It was
the
definitely
pass to
less
go
than
onto
a
there,
dollar.
or you got one transfer, right? You used your
Yeah.
card and it took you one transfer.
But so we would hold on to if you wanted to go up to the train station or even further, because we used to go hang out in Parkchester or whatever. We would hold the back of the bus and just ski. But sometimes you hit a dry patch and you're like, "Ugh," you gotta run to keep up with it. Yeah, probably not the safest
I
thing,
think it
and
was
I don't recommend that to anybody, but
no,
it was a lot of fun.
no. And I will definitely limit his conversation of a lot of the things he did in in his youth.
I'm limited. I'm self editing. I'm self editing a lot.
But yeah, I think
Which is
it's
why I say, looking at it back from a different perspective, like if you ask me, the me that don't doesn't have kids, whatever, I love my childhood. It was crazy. But if you ask me, like, hey, I'm thinking of raising my kids here, like, no, be the worst
yeah.
thing you ever do. Like, no, it wasn't good. You know,
I also think that inherently growing up, it's gonna those are formidable years. So I think whoever you ask from wherever they are has you know that combination of experience. Like it was the hardest times, it was the best of times.
maybe I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. But this was a fun nostalgic look back. I loved
Yeah,
it.
I think just time check. I think it's at 30.
Yeah, we have 5 more minutes,
Oh, okay.
so
Sorry.
that's okay. But yeah, well, I'm excited to keep doing this and having these kind of conversations,
Yeah, we kind of got stuck
elaborate.
on one, and it was like
Yeah,
supposed to be so much more,
but this
but
is a
we got
nice
stuck on
intro.
one.
Hopefully, people will get to see the banter. They might not understand why we felt the need to just demonstrate it with everybody, but um,
And we leaving out
it's gonna
so
be good.
much. We leaving out so much. But anyway, shout out to Soundview, Jamie Towers, uh,
East Tremont, Throgsneck.
everything right there. But what was that building that was on Seward? Remember that?
The
It was a
21
building on
story.
Seward. There wasn't no 21 stuff.
Uh,
Seward all the way down by like almost not White Plains, but probably like Homestead. There was a building there right across from Jamie Towers.
yeah,
I don't remember. Shout
yeah.
out to you guys. Shout out to the ones on
I'm trying
Lafayette
to
and
think of the
White
name because I
Plains.
think I had a babysitter there.
Yeah, I forgot all the
You
names.
would
That
walk
you
through the
did.
park. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
you did
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
No, I forgot. And then there was some more buildings further down.
Shout out to all the
Oh,
schools,
what
St.
Stevenson
Raymond's,
Commons? Stevenson
oh, Stevenson
Commons.
Commons.
That's
Shout
another
out
one.
to 182, um,
And I'm forgetting.
125,
I'm forgetting everything.
PS
136.
36,
Yeah.
um, Stevenson, which is like a whole bunch of different schools now, Holy Family, St. John Vianney.
I
And
don't
where
even
else
think that
did
exists anymore.
I think it
I
just
don't know.
closed down, and I think Holy Family's closing. My high school closed. Your high school
My high
closed.
school
My high
closed.
school Aquinas closed. Your high school Rice closed.
Rice.
Nice way
Hmm.
to show it. Oh, we said St. Raymond's, right? Where else did you get kicked out of?
Trinity
Trinity.
Lutheran.
Oh, St. Helena's
St. Dominic's.
and
St.
St.
Dominic's.
Dominic's.
Yeah.
It was
Hmm.
not easy keeping your mom in those schools. Your mom
No.
keeping her kids in those schools.
Praca. Praca.
Proctor. Wow.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't even know if that's called Praca anymore, but
I don't know. But it
yeah.
changed a long time ago under very bad
That was
circumstances. Yeah.
yeah, everything was bad back then. So whatever.
Yeah.
I know we're forgetting a whole bunch, but
Oh gosh. Well, I hope that for all the Castle Hill natives, for all the Bronx natives, for all our neighbors, our bordering neighbors, our boundary neighbors, this was familiar and nostalgic for you, and it was a fun look. And we look forward to seeing you
salute.
again. Yeah, shout out.
Woo!
Yay. This was fun. Thanks, Jay.
My
I'm looking forward to
pleasure. I
the
can't
next
wait for the
one.
next time. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yay.
Next time we got to stay on point though. We got to like
We're
talk
gonna
about the
we're
thing.
gonna work on this. We're gonna work on this. Even with the sound effects. We're gonna work.
Oh, there's a
We're gonna
little
make it
delayed,
work.
but sure, yeah.
We're gonna get a good producer in here. Well, it was really nice seeing everybody. I hope to see you guys next time. Hoping to see you tune in. Um, say
Yeah.
bye. Bye,
Yeah.
Jay.
Take care, everybody. Have a great week and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.